the Carolina Panthers. Boo, 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 boo. Brandon Merriweather.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What people don't really know about that, he bit my face mask.
Because I've got a conspiracy brain. And so this popped up.
Hold on. You got a conspiracy brain?
Of course. I'm always trying to connect the dots where they shouldn't be connected.
My man wanted BBW.
I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Right. Let's start off with Thursday night. Let's go ahead and put up that game-winning 98-yard drive done by Baker Mayfield. Had a few people at me in social media, and I'm not a guy. I don't run. I don't hide. I ain't scared. I only fear one man, and that's God. The rest of y'all, I'll walk up to you and talk to you face to face. You know, but I also own. I'm really able to own whatever I need to own. However, when I'm right, you know, people go silent. And I expect that. I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you can see, we're running this highlight. Look at Baker Mayfield. Step up in the pocket. Look really good. Throws a completion. And also, then you have a Los Angeles Ram doing something a little bit silly, right? A little Captain Petty, knocking the ball out of his hand. That's a penalty. Then you have a great play design by Sean McVay. Sean McVay goes into the lab, and then now you're hearing reports that Matthew Stafford was there to assist. And it was really cool to see that. And then bang, pass interference. So they go up some more yards. And then Baker Mayfield throws the ball over the middle towards the sideline. And then idiotically, the Las Vegas Raiders with Sam Webb, a rookie, been doing pretty good. Hadn't been great, but he hadn't been poor, right? Just a guy doing his job. Going against number 2, second generation of football player. Van Jefferson goes out and bang. Press coverage. Got a savvy second generation veteran wide receiver against a rookie, Sam Webb. Pressed up coverage. Baker Mayfield makes the right read. Throws a dime, touchdown, game over. Orchestrates team in NFL history, the longest drive. Now, a lot of people came at me on my social media while I was on air and said that, man, the hate and the shade and the jealousy of Steve Smith is outrageous. I'm extremely critical of Baker because there has been a lot of fanfare of Baker. You hear people talk about his passion, and people can link me and say, oh, Steve, you had a ton of passion too. I did. I think what's different is Baker Mayfield was a dynamic quarterback in college. But his success in college has not transferred to the same amount of success of Heisman Trophy winner. The Heisman Trophy winner is basically the league MVP of college. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Baker Mayfield is not an MVP candidate and has never been an MVP candidate since he's became the first overall pick going in the National Football League. His performance never equals up to his passion. And so I'm not jealous of Baker. I just kind of I'm trying to figure out this whole nostalgia of Baker that everybody has. And maybe because he went to Oklahoma and there's so many Oklahoma Sooner fans. I don't know. I'll make the point of this and then I'll start off. People said on social media, they said, Steve, where are you? Well, I'm in the same place I was before the game and after the game. Well, I'm on my podcast. I'm on Thursday night. I'm on a lot of other different opportunities and things that go on television-wise. So I'm in the same spot that I was in prior to Thursday night, and I'm in the same spot after Thursday night. The Los Angeles Rams got to win because Baker Mayfield, Sean McVay, and the Las Vegas Raiders gave Baker Mayfield every opportunity, and he took advantage of it, and he won the game. So, hey, I take my hat off to you, Baker. I know you're not sitting around waiting to see what Steve Smith says. Or are you? But people are clicking and people are watching. And unfortunately, people are saying, why do I keep hearing about Steve? Why does Steve keep talking about football? Why is he trying to make himself relevant? I'm not making myself relevant. I'm kind of doing my job, people. And my job is to analyze. Yes, I didn't leave. I don't leave the league anymore. I don't play. I'm washed up. Yes, I'm everything of that. But my job is to talk about football. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to give my educated, ignorant, short-sighted, Mighty Mouse, Napoleon complex. I'm going to give everything that I have to analyzing football into the place where I'm comfortable. And I'm comfortable being myself. Now, some of y'all may not be comfortable in your own skin, and I'm sorry. Sorry for that. But I'm 43, be 44, man. And it's taken me a long time to actually be comfortable in my own skin. And dagnabbit, it feels good. So, congratulations to Baker Mayfield and Los Angeles Rams for orchestrating the impossible. Hats off to you. I salute you, sir. You and I both know you won't be calling me. I won't be calling you. You're no longer in Carolina. So, officially, I'm signing off. You can take me off the hater train of the Baker Mayfield, and I'll just say this. I hope you're the best, and I look forward to talking about moving forward. I make a declaration because, I'm a guy that I'll shoot you straight. I'll eat humble pie, but I'm going to tell you this. Moving forward, I will no longer, ever talk about Baker Mayfield again. So after this day, this man can be president of the United States. I ain't saying a word about it. So I don't hate. I do know how to congratulate. But all the Baker lovers and all the Oklahoma Sooners that say that I'm jealous, I'll end with this Captain Petty shot. Come on in. Listen, people. I don't have anything to say.
This is also
right. Move on. Yes, go ahead.
He's a debut guy. When he came in with the Browns, he did kind of the same thing. He led a double-digit comeback, and then we saw how. What I'm saying,
I just said I'm not talking about him anymore.
Okay, I didn't.
Okay, go ahead. You go. Well, you go ahead. I'll listen. You know what? I'll ear hustle.
There you go.
All right.
His problem's never been the first game. It's been the games after the first game. Anyone taking a victory lap a little soon. And I don't hate or like Baker Mayfield. He just kind of exists. But one game, especially, come on, it's against the Raiders. That doesn't count. We've talked about that this season. Let's see a little bit more. Before we start taking victory laps. That's all I ask.
I'm not engaging, bro.
I didn't ask you to engage. I'm talking again. I'm also talking to the people at home who throw a thumbs up, subscribe.
Hey, make that subscribe. Hit that subscribe. Hit that dislike. It don't matter. Here's the other thing that somebody said too. It's like, man, pronunciate some of the people's name right. Hey, bro.
No.
I'll give you some stuff that I say at the house sometimes. Right? Sometimes I'll be at the house and I'll say something wrong. My wife's like, that's not how he said. Him too. Him too. So sometimes I'm going to say the name wrong. Right? That's me.
Happens.
Right?
A lot of names.
Really? It's only like 3,000 players in the National Football League that are all playing on a Sunday. Right?
D tackle for the Patriots last night had a sack. He's been on the team at least 2 years now. I still can't say his name.
Say it.
It's like an E-U-K. Like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. He just doesn't make enough plays where the announcers are saying it to get it in my head.
So you need someone else to say it.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You went to junior college like I did, huh? That laugh, are you confirming?
I did not. No, it's a damning criticism of my high school is what it is.
Oh man! All right, let's get into some real topics. All right,
Panthers game out of first place still all season. It feels
gracious.
like.
We had some people on social media was like, "Yo, I can't wait to hear Cut to It. This podcast is gonna be live." So here we go. We're gonna hit the Panthers only podcast. Cut to It, exclusive, and Coley is going to have to be part of it because we're not going to talk about the New England Patriots this way ever. Never. No, I'm joking. All right.
I was going to say, what can we possibly be saying here where it would not apply?
Hey, you know what I do love about Mac Jones?
What's that?
Mac Jones said, I don't know what I don't care, bro. Y'all gonna know how I feel from now on moving forward. Man, he is cussing folks out. He giving the people the hand wave. He flinging them off. Boy, he is giving Matt Patricia the vocal business.
Long overdue.
He's talking to Matt Patricia. He had said some things on Monday Night Football last night while he was playing. Like Matt Patricia owed him a few $100. Like until you pay me, you cannot talk to me.
Yeah.
Just call a play. I said call a play. No, I didn't ask you for your input. I just said tell me the number. Tell me the number. 15. Okay then. No, be quiet.
I don't blame him. It has to be frustrating. It's like, oh, good. Another screen. All right, sick. Let's run it.
11 screens heading into the third and fourth quarter.
I don't know if Patricia is like grinding the tape other coaches are getting, like the week to week, like what are we putting in? I think he's watching the Super Bowl against the Giants.
I think so too. He's watching everything. That
playbook would have worked when McDaniels was calling nothing but dropbacks for Randy Moss. It's like, if we run quick stuff, maybe we do go 19-0. But no, it's the Arizona Cardinals. I think we can be a little more creative than that.
Probably not.
No, it didn't look that way, but a win's a win. I'm going to take it.
Take it, yeah. Unfortunately, Kyler Murray gets injured.
Everyone got injured. The first quarter was just people dropping like fries. And I noticed this too. Because I've got a conspiracy brain. And so this popped up.
Hold on. You got a conspiracy brain?
Of course. I'm always trying to connect the dots where they shouldn't be connected.
Okay. I'll just ask her.
I know. Yeah. Very early on, it was the second injury. I think it was when James Conner, because he came back, but when he went down on the sideline. It's Buck and Aikman on Monday night, right? I still don't have the announcers. I think it's Buck and Aikman.
Yeah,
Joe Buck, when James Conner went down, went out of his way to point out that they were playing on grass. And we've talked about the turf versus grass on this podcast already this season. And players have complained this year. Him going out of his way to be like, look, guys are getting hurt on grass. It was almost like that note was put in front of his face by somebody.
Absolutely. No, his spotter was like, been waiting on this one.
Yeah.
Hey, hit that one. Hit that one. And Joe's like, no, he hit that one. Listen, I played football. Grass and turf are two different animals. They're two different animals, right? My back rarely hurts standing on grass. When you're standing, your back is going to hurt. If you're standing in the same spot upright for 2.5, 4 hours, yes. But playing on grass and turf is just different. I don't care what they say. I don't care what their reports say, right? You can poll, if you poll enough of the right people you're going to get the answer you're looking for.
Right.
Grass and turf are not the same. Their injuries are not the same. When your body goes, like when you tear that knee, you just tear that knee. But there are things that happen on artificial surfaces that do not happen, that are less likely to happen on natural surfaces.
Do you find yourself running differently? Like, do you take different steps on turf versus grass? Do you wear different cleats on turf versus grass?
That's a great.
Because even if it's
depends,
like, even if you get hurt on
person,
grass, I could see that. But even if you get hurt on grass, if you're used to playing on turf the other 13 weeks of the season and then you hit grass, you might not be taking the same strides. You might not be planning the same. So even if people want to blame grass for last night, is it even the grass, or is it playing on a different surface? A different surface every week might not be the best either for a human body.
When you go grass, turf, grass, it does play a role. When you're on turf all the time, it is a wear and tear. It is a mileage thing.
Right. And it accelerates it, I would imagine.
Yes. When you go back and look at some of the players, Torrey Smith, I know, good friend of mine, all the years playing on turf. Jacoby Jones playing in turf in Baltimore. Roddy White, what happened to his knee long term. You remember the Michael Vick, Michael always wore 7 studs, so because he would, Michael Vick was that dude. He was the human highlight reel. So Mike was built differently. Mike wanted those studs so he can get up and go. And I remember that stud getting caught in the grass. Will his cleat get caught on turf? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Getting caught on turf. And then I remember he gets hurt, breaks his ankle, does a screw. Then he comes back at the end of the year. That was when Dan Reeves was fired and let go. And he was fired and let go because Mike was going to come back, and they didn't want Dan to when Mike come back to say, hey, look what Dan can be. When Mike did that hydroplane in the goal line, and then they had Samuel Jackson. That's when they started to rise up. Man, Samuel Jackson had this big old thing. They were like 2-12 at the time. and right, they just weren't great. Well, Mike Vick came back and he just took over the game. So I just know that those particular times, the wear and tear on your body on turf, man, it's different. It is totally different. I don't care what the statistics say. I know it's different. That's just a fact. People can say what they want. I know how my body feels after a turf game, after a grass game. A grass game, my body hurts from the hitting. On a turf, my body hurts from the hitting, and my joints hurt from the breaking and stopping and going on the surface that doesn't give. When grass gives, when you plant really hard, the grass goes up. When you plant really hard on turf, your joints take all the brunt. And I just know in my 8th year, 9th year, 5th year, 4th year, when I played on turf, I felt older the next day. Just flat out. I felt older. And when I went to Baltimore, when I played in New Orleans, when I played in Atlanta, when I played in Minnesota, back when Minnesota, man, that's when they had the baseball diamond.
Yeah, the AstroTurf.
The AstroTurf, and they had home plate and third base, man. Guys would you get rug burns, and guys would get infections, man.
Jeez.
Right? Because of that dirt.
Yeah.
So that I just know there's a difference. So let's just move on from that. Listen. The Carolina Panthers get the win against the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith was under duress the whole game. He was never comfortable. He was flustered. I would say the Seattle offense looks extremely different with Kenneth Walker II not in the lineup.
Yeah.
They're just a different team. Without that strong running game, the play action isn't as effective. The throwing lanes aren't as wide open. And it just makes it very difficult. And Geno Smith never got a chance to set his feet. He just seemed really out of sorts. What did you see in that game, Coley, that was really eye-opening or surprising?
I don't know if it's as much a surprise with Deontay Foreman. He's been doing this. He's been doing this since college. But Chuba Hubbard, the way he's kind of stepped in, and now you've kind of got this two-headed monster.
Great pick by Matt Rule / his wonderful wife told Matt Rule to draft him because how many yards he put up against Matt Rule back in college when he was at Baylor.
I mean, he was a monster at Oklahoma State, so I believe
he was a monster, yeah. Hey, Oklahoma State has had some pretty good running backs the last couple of years. Unfortunately, he had the neck thing with Chris Carson. Chris Carson was a heck of a running back at Oklahoma State. His balance. When I was watching and evaluating Chris Carson when he was coming out of Oklahoma State, and I was like, man, his balance. He's always finishing forward. He's sneaky, explosive. And then he does a really good job in Seattle and gets, and that's when they had that two-headed monster when they drafted Rashad Penny in the first round. And then I think they got Chris Carson in the third or fourth round. And you could see at times Rashad Penny was still trying to figure it out, wasn't as aggressive of a runner like he was at San Diego State. But Chris Carson, he never backed down.
No.
And Chuba Hubbard is showing another guy in that Oklahoma State backfield that system has really kind of said, hey, I'm here, guys. He's starting to – this Canadian is starting – you didn't know he's Canadian?
No, that's the way you said it.
Oh. Well, I've had conversations with him, so it's pretty cool.
He's playing our sport. That's how it came off.
No, he is. He's playing our sport, right? Like, this is a guy who says Petro.
Oh, man.
What do you mean, oh, man?
That's
he's Canadian.
He's
says
got a
Petro,
bag of
not
milk,
gas.
too, yeah.
Ooh. They have a bag of milk there?
Yeah, they get bags of milk.
In what, though? What do they – what?
It's just like a big bag. I don't know how else to describe. I think
you have no idea.
They put it. They
you
put
have
it in,
no
they put it in
idea.
They put it in the Kool-Aid pitcher. You know what I'm saying? Like they take the bag and they pour it in that.
This is Bandit. He founded Underdog Fantasy so that humans who really love sports could play with their friends and win some big prizes. Tell your human to go to underdogfantasy.com today.
The Panthers did a really good job. Ben McAdoo did an exceptional job of keeping the Seattle defense guessing. They could, there were about 3 or 4 plays in a row. They tried to pass the ball, got stoned. They came right back in the next possession and said, hey, we did this. That didn't work. So let's go back to running the ball. Running the ball, moving the pocket. They did a really good job. They you couldn't really tee off on Sam Darnold too much. Moving the pocket. Moving the pocket, I believe, is a little bit better than stationary Sam. Stationary Sam sometimes doesn't see things always the same way, but on a move, Sam really starts to see things differently. You go back to his film with Juju Smith-Schuster when he was at USC. That was one of the things that got him drafted so high is when he moved the pocket with Sam seems to be a little bit more accurate. He seems to process things a little bit faster. That was one of the things that they loved about Sam Darnold in college, why he got drafted. And for somehow, some way, when he came in the league, they stopped doing that. Yes, Adam Gase was his head coach, that offense. I don't necessarily know why and how, but somewhere between USC and present, something has shifted with Sam in his processing. And yet, this Sunday that passed seemed like he got himself back on track.
Do you view him as an option moving forward in Carolina?
I don't know. Let's, you talk about 2023, bro. Can we get to Christmas? Right? I think too many people are talking about moving forward. Everybody's talking about here, Carolina. Can the Panthers make the playoffs? They have the divisional game against the Bucs. That's going to come down to it. Let's take these two wins. Let's take this win and take that momentum heading into the next week.
Now, I saw a headline, and I didn't click it because I wanted to hear it straight from you. I didn't know if this was fake news or if there was something to it. I saw something that said Steve Wilkes called out the Panthers for trying to tank earlier in the season. Was that fact or was that fiction?
I didn't see that.
Okay.
I
feel like if he said that, it would be loud and you would have heard it.
Oh, yeah. I don't believe Steve Wilkes ever said he called out the Panthers for tanking. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator, so that would indicate that he was part of the tanking, right?
Not necessarily. Early in the season, the defense wasn't necessarily the issue.
No. I don't think it was
The guy you can't talk about?
It was somebody. Man, sometimes people think teams are tanking. Sometimes things aren't going your way. Right? Matt Rule was on Peter Schrager's podcast and said that if he could go back, he would not take the job. He would take another job because he didn't realize he wasn't on a 5-year plan. I'll say this in this statement. I believe the 5-year plan changed when everything started to show that they weren't what damage was going to be made if he was allowed to seek out his 5-year plan. Sometimes you have a plan and things happen in between that plan to realize, you know what, let me see if I could pressure someone into maybe I speed up the process hoping that this person will make some different decisions. And I think that's what possibly happened.
That's also
but to say that, go ahead.
It's an extremely naive, like this is an adult we're talking about here. Either he had never seen the NFL before, or he was just so naive.
He's been a. Here's what I think.
There's no what I'm saying is no coach has gotten a 5-year plan, at least in the modern NFL. It's you have to figure it out now. We're not giving you all this long leash. Like ownership, fan bases require more instant gratification than that. Now, I agree. Some teams should look in the mirror and be like, hey, we need a real 5-year plan and actually see it through. But that just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened.
But you got a 5-year plan and 2 years in, 3 years in, it's hard to say, man, in 2 years, we're going to be really good. I just felt that was a lack of accountability. Almost like he played no part, right? He even said that he was not, he didn't have final say. Yeah, you did. You had final say. You had final say on a lot of things that you shouldn't have final say on. And so to kind of throw Mr. Tepper, throw the Panthers under the bus, like, well, I didn't do all of that stuff. That all you're doing is trying to save face because you got a new job and you want to make sure your slate is clean in the college level. I look forward to Matt Rule having all the success in college football because he's a college coach. He likes to control everything. And one of the things he loves to do, Matt Rule loves coaching boys and young men. He doesn't like coaching men because men talk back. Men go, you said that was Sprite, it's water. You could tell college kids, shut up, drink it, be grateful. But when you tell men to shut up, they go, excuse me, who you talking to? So, whatever.
Do you think the NIL will change that even a little? at the college level.
Oh, it's already changing it right now. It's already changing. The guys are trying to decide if they're going to stay in the portal. I don't know if I want to stay because I could be a millionaire. Like college kids right now, there are juniors right now in colleges that are holding teams hostage. Like, oh, I'm not sure yet. I need some NIL money. If I don't get NIL money, I'm going to go to a new team. Right? Like there's some quarterbacks who may have had great years and they feel like, well, if I don't get NIL money, I'm going to go to a different school. Man, you're not going to be able to learn that offense like that. It took you 3 years to learn this offense. All of a sudden now you're a genius? You're Albert Einstein? That has to do with the pump of money in the system. He's making these young men look through not even rose-colored glasses, money-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But like anything, it'll reset. It'll set itself. Because at the end of the day, you start scooting all these teams for the NIL money, but you still got to perform.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part kids don't understand. If you're barely performing at Utah State, you think you're going to perform better at Texas A&M? And I just threw those random names up because, talk about Thursday night, I saw the Rams. Man, and I saw Bobby Wagner, Utah State. Bobby Wagner played at Utah State. I saw Bobby Wagner. I said, man, I got some ailments right now because of you. My back hurting because of you right now. And he just chuckled, man. It's cool. It's cool to see like a guy like that. Sometimes I go back and I just look at players because you forget, especially depending on the age, you forget some of these players are like what school they went to. Like Bobby Wagner. You look at Bobby Wagner, you and I said Utah State. Right? Looking at Josh Allen, you wouldn't think Wyoming.
Right.
Just those little nuggets, right? Deshaun Jackson, Cal, right? You forget sometimes Aaron Rodgers played at Cal and he was a junior college transfer. So that's just something I enjoy doing sometimes. Like to find out what school, right? What school a guy went to, why. Joy Porter, Colorado State. I remember I was playing against Joy Porter, right? And I had a slant route. And I think it was Darnell Austin or T.D. Croshaw, one of my quarterbacks, threw me a slant. And I go backwards now, and I'm like, when they threw the slant, it was like a little bit high leading. And I kind of like, I think I caught it, I missed it, but it was like one of those where I was like, he's going to murder me. And then I go back, and we're playing against, I'm with Carolina, and I get tackled by Joey, and I'm like, damn, he was trying to murder me in college too. I never put those two and two together.
When you were in college, was it easy to spot other pros? Like, oh, that guy's going to the league.
Yes and no. There are some guys that you kind of doubted. Like Brian Urlacher, you didn't doubt Brian Urlacher.
I was going to say, that would have been a shocking one.
Right? Brian Urlacher, you know what the position Brian Urlacher played in college?
Defense, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called him, he was the Lobo. He wasn't a linebacker. He was a Lobo. They called him the Lobo. He just lined up everywhere.
Just roamed.
Yes. Oh, he was head hunting too. Man, Brian Urlacher hit me one time on the sideline, and there's a picture somewhere. He hits me, the ball is here, and I'm literally like that, but my legs are like that at the same time. Like I was running, I got hit, And then my body was like, we're gonna land. We're gonna land. It was so crazy, right? So it was pretty cool. I don't know. Have I told you the Brian Urlacher story?
I don't think so.
All right, so we're playing New Mexico State. Yeah, New Mexico State. And we're playing, and they're talking about this guy, Brian Urlacher. He's going to be a first draft pick, top 10. And, man, Brian is all over the field, right? And so I know scouts are there to see Brian. And I'm like, man, I'm about to show out. So I'm talking to Brian. I'm like, yo, we going to halftime. He's like, you ain't doing nothing. I said, listen, you're going to be in the league. He's like, yep. And I said, I am too. And I'm going to go to the league by showing up on you. He says, blankety blank, whatever. We going halftime. Now, y'all can pull these highlights from YouTube. I had a punt return for a touchdown, and I scored with one shoe. I had 2 punt returns for a touchdown and then a wide receiver touchdown. But what was the craziest part about that? I balled. Fast forward, I get drafted 3rd round the next year. I make the Pro Bowl my rookie year. So I'm George Jefferson, Dynamite from Good Times. I'm JJ. I'm walking in like, oh, I'm a rookie. But I didn't walk in like, hey, look at me. I walked in looking for one guy and one guy only. When we got to practice, man, we got to practice. We got to practice, right? And I gotta show you on camera. We walked out of practice, man. I walked out of practice. I was like, where my man Urlacher at? I saw Urlacher. I didn't know how Lack was gonna respond. But one of the coolest things he did, man, he walked up to me. He said, "Come here. You called it. Great job." Man, it was so dope to have Urlacher, a guy that respected. We obviously played against each other in college. To be able to discuss and talk about that, man, it was just so cool. Ever since then, man, me and Urlacher have been solid. I was playing against them in Chicago. And I remember Jake threw a pick to, I think it was Ricky Prolin's a slot, and I was going. And it was a pick. Somebody got the pick. And so I'm running. And, man, Urlacher hit me so hard on the sideline. He hit me. And I just did this, right? Shoot. He hit me so hard. He hit me in my chest. And I flew backwards. But I flew backwards like a TV show. You know, when the explosion, like, ooh. That's how I went. And he goes, I was looking for you. I said, I couldn't find you fast enough. I was looking for you. You know how you get hit? Well, you don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I got it. Yep.
When you get hit and you going, your spidey sense is going, where's Urlacher? Where's Urlacher? As soon as I said, where's Urlacher? Bam! Yeah. Here I am! I said, dang it. He said, oh, I was looking for you. I said, I know. I just couldn't get there. And so it was really fun. It was really cool to see little things like that.
Just as a non-NFL playing human, what a hilarious relationship to have. Like, that's my pal. Yeah. He used to drag me into the earth's crust several times a week.
that was his love language for me. Hey, where's Smitty? Where's Lack?
Yeah, look at him, a big hug.
Right? Yeah. That was good. Let's see. Brian, y'all had him as a safety in New England. Brandon Merriweather.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Bro, if you go back and look at some of those hits, there's a hit where I'm going across the middle, and he hits me, and I kind of like, ooh. And then like I almost fall, but I keep it. What people don't really know about that, he bit my face mask. If you go back and look at that, he bit it, and I got up. I was like, I'm crazy. That was all I had, because I was like, I don't know how long I can take this.
Yeah, what's wrong with this guy? What's that?
I'm like, I'm crazy. because I was trying to shake it off. I had a dark visor on at that moment, but I was going, bro, this dude is killing me. Then there's a hit on the sideline. Cam throws it, bang, and I know it's coming, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get hit with or without this ball. How are we going to do it? I'm like, so I'm going, be patient. Don't blink. Keep your eyes open. So I kind of hit that, and I know it's coming. I'm like, look, I've been hit by a number of people. I know it's coming. So I'm going, boom, hits me again. And I get up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm crazy. But the whole time I'm going, bro, this is hurting.
Looking at the game clock, like, how much time? There can't be that much time left. Please tell me there's not that much time left.
Bro, he was tagging me.
Yeah.
Merriweather
was a special kind of tapped.
Yes. And then 47 Cody. He was a Caucasian line safety. Very few of those in the league at that time, right?
Ever, yeah.
And he hits me, and he tries to get some. And I'll be honest with you, it has nothing to do with color, but it does have to do with your body of work. And his body of work did not tell me he was going. This was not a tag team. Like, it was like they taking rotations. And he goes, yeah, me and you built from the same cut from the same cloth. I looked at him. I was not. You talking about offended? I was offended. He thought me and him was built. I was like, I looked at him and I said, huh? What? No, we not. We ain't built from the same cloth. And like the next two plays, you had a run play. Oh, I was trying to give him the business. I came down there, boom! I said, built from the same cloth. How dare you? How dare you talk to thou like that?
Well, that's how he got to the league, thinking more of himself than he had that kind of self-confidence to even get him in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry Bird very famously used to say, you put a white guy on me, I am furious. How dare you? How dare you? Who do you think I am?
No, but it had nothing to do with color. It had to do with
backup. He wasn't a stable.
Yes. Yes.
No, I get it.
Right? It's like a guy who somebody gets hurt, you come off.
Like, if Eric Weddle, for example, if he says that to you, you're not as offended.
Oh, but first of all, that's Utah. That's my guy.
All right, bad example. I'm trying to think of other white safeties, Steve. There's not a deep pool to draw from here.
But see, my point is, has nothing to do with color. It has to do with your statistics.
Yeah,
right?
but Weddle's a really good player.
Yes.
Right.
Now, Weddle's backup that's never played or started a game, now I'm going to be like, if you don't get this little dude from around here, the street lights are on. Do your mommy and daddy know you out here? All right, so let's go back to my Panthers. Blackshear, they got a little rookie. Man, he's running the ball well. They got this little three-headed monster that's really off speed. They're all different little running backs. Deontay Foreman, he's not as fast as Blackshear, but he's kind of a grinder, right? He's going to finish with his pass forwards. You got Chuba Hubbard, he's kind of in between. He can run. Sometimes he'll try to run you over, but then Blackshear just going to run around you. Look, I'm not running you over. This is the track meet. And I got my track spikes on. But the most impressive thing, the Panthers pressured the Seattle Seahawks all day long. And with that pressure, that made Geno Smith make so many mistakes. But then we got to show some dimes that he dropped too. How about this catch right here from Tyler Lockett? Geno Smith in the back of the end zone. Tyler Lockett has body control like no other. He drops back. Kind of the one few times he was able, I think he was still kind of backing up a little bit. Throws the pass, and Tyler Lockett catches the ball, keeps his feet in bounds control. Wow. Pretty darn good catch by Tyler Lockett.
Why is the back of the end zone throw so hard for quarterbacks to pull off? Obviously, they always got people in their face. It's not like you're just standing on an empty football field. But that throw specifically appears to be the one that so many quarterbacks can't make. What makes it more difficult than other throws?
I want to say that's a dumb question, but it's not a dumb question.
Well, you asked me to ask dumb questions, so that's
no. I was sitting here going, that's not a dumb question. That's a great question, but it's also one of those Captain Obvious questions too.
Exactly, yeah.
Because the back of the end zone has this like cautionary thing that people don't really realize that plays in your head. It's like in golf, right? Is when you have that chip shot in front of, what's in front of the chip shot? Sand, a bunker. And so you're thinking, don't go in the bunker, don't go in the bunker. As soon as you hit, you think about something and you go in the bunker. The bunker in the end zone is that big old fat, thick white line in the back of the end zone that indicates it's out of bounds. And so you're trying to put touch on it, but you're also trying to put the ball in the only place that the receiver could get it, which is centimeters, inches from that line, which is, man, it's that small little thing of AWS has it, the percentage of completion. Because of so many guys who overthrow, underthrow, who, if the wind's blowing, it's such a artistry throw. And if you don't work on it, you're not going to get it.
Right.
That's why. There's a play against Sean Springs that I made back with when they were the Washington Commanders, right? Against Sean, it was 2 unders. I had a corner. We can alert to a post. I run this post, and I catch the ball, and I drag both feet. And I drag both feet to the point of where it's later in the season. And so they would fill up like the potholes and the pulled up grass and the bad grass. They would put sand there. And you can see I'm dragging up the field with sand because I get 2 feet in. It is a very artistry throw that fans don't realize. That's why a lot of players sometimes get frustrated with fans like, man, this game it's the game of yards. It's the game of inches, seconds. If you're 1 second behind in a throw in the back of the end zone, that's the difference between a completion and an incompletion or a pick six. That's why it's so hard. Because you have all of these barriers that say, if you do this, it's not going to work. And so it's a psychological thing. That's the psychological part about the game that can swallow you up if you're really not mentally focused or locked in. Right? And so if you go back in the Panthers game and the Seattle Seahawks, then he tries to throw a pass, kind of same location, different route to DK Metcalf, and Jaycee Horn picks it, but he didn't get 2 feet in. Man, that was a really good pass. Right here, too, Jaycee Horn had a hell of a day of playing tendencies, watching film. This is a young guy who is locked in and understands tendencies, personnel, alignment, assignment, keys, and he stayed with his keys. He goes back and he's covering DK Metcalf, but he sees DK Metcalf has people underneath, right? So what the interesting thing is, I think that's Brandon Smith, number 40, is underneath DK Metcalf. So he understands that he and Flo is coming that way. So Jaycee Horn takes care of his job first, which is let me take away the first read is the short throw. And also understands his assignment and the alignment of his teammates who are flaring underneath that are reading the eyes of the quarterback and also seeing I also have a guy in my peripheral that I know in this route, they have a high-low. The high is Tyler Lockett. The low is DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is the first read. The second read is the high, which is Tyler Lockett. What Geno Smith doesn't realize is they got them potential all-pro corner who understands his leverage, and he also understands because his dad taught him, and he's watched his dad run routes, so he understands route concepts of being an outstanding player, but also route concepts because second generational football player. And so he takes the knowledge. That's where it says taking the knowledge and the air conditioning room and applying it onto the field. So he goes back, understands that, and says, hey, he can't throw this ball because now I'm in position and I got defenders underneath. So he only has one other place to go, Tyler Lockett. So he sees that and then uses his speed, adjusts, shifts his body, boom, and goes and gets it and pick. That's an outstanding. That is what we call Pro Bowl type of playing.
So for people at home, is this perfect defense or a late throw or what would you?
Everything.
Okay.
The throw is late because the defense dictates, led by the linebacker, the flow, and route recognition by Jaycee Horn. So the throw is late because Jaycee Horn makes the throw late because he takes care of his assignment first. He keeps his eyes on his luggage, as we say, right? He doesn't go for the cheese.
Right.
But then he gives the cheese.
He laid the trap
to Geno James, and he takes it. But what helps Jaycee Horn is Jaycee Horn also knows his ability. So he keeps his body leveraged in a way that allows him to open up to go get that ball.
I was going to say during draft season, when you hear about top corners, you hear a lot about fluid hips. And I think you saw them.
That's why fluid hips are important.
I think you saw them on full display here. He never leaves like his defensive stance. Like he's in the same stance the whole time. It's all lower body torque. Like it's Shakira says it. The hips don't lie. The hips don't lie that young man he will be a Pro Bowler, all pro corner if he is not already. You could go ahead and put my stamp of approval. Boom, 89-ish. This is his second year, right?
Yeah, it was cut short last year because of
just second
Frank.
season.
Yeah.
So it was him and Patrick Surtain the second. Did they go back to back? I think they might have went back to back in the draft. Broncos and yeah. And then this year you've got Sauce, you've got Stingley, Jack Jones. There's been a lot of very potent corners enter the league these last 2 years. I like it.
I agree with you. I agree. Speaking of Joey Porter, I think Joey Porter Jr., his son is at Penn State. I think he's going to forego and go into the draft.
Projected first round pick. Yep.
Oh, projected. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you projecting. That boy is a first round pick.
Just scouring the mocks, I see his name a lot, and I see his name a lot around the Patriots, which I like.
Man, he can play too.
Oh yeah,
he can play. Physical, tough. Right? Jaycee Horn.
How could he not be? He's Joey Porter's son. If he's not physical and tough, I'd be concerned.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't always translate. It doesn't.
Sure. No, you're not wrong.
So Jaycee Horn almost had 3 picks in that game. He was all over the field. And C.J. Henderson showed up too.
Ooh.
Jeremy Chin played well. Frankie Luvu continues to just be a troublemaker for the offense. Frankie Luvu is like one of those guys who Frankie Luvu reminds me of like a Teddy Bruschi. Like he looks like he could play football, but you're just not sure how well he could play football. And then when he hits people, you go, dang, he's knocking the snot out of people. Like Teddy Bruschi would hit you, but you really wasn't sure how hard. And then when he hits you, he goes, yeah.
Pretty hard.
He looked like he hit you that hard. And then he hit you even harder. Teddy Bruschi, Keith Brookings, Zach Thomas. Remember I think it was, I can't remember his name. He played at Texas A&M, Asian guy that was with the 49ers. I mean, not the Cowboys. He would hit you too.
Yeah.
Yes. That win hit, man, he would sneaky just unload on you. And I'm just talking about those guys who were just so compact. They weren't super fast, but they were sneaky. They weren't sneaky fast, but they weren't sneaky slow.
Yeah.
And you would find out how fast they were when they hit you. It was like, was he really going 13 miles per hour? Boom! Yep, he was.
I know his career was short because of injuries. Did you ever take a Bob Sanders hit?
Yeah, Bob Sanders hit me a few times. Bob Sanders hit me one time so hard, almost swallowed my mouthpiece. Yeah, it's funny today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, looking back on it, you're here today still.
You know, the mouthpiece is on your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
He hit me, and they still stayed on my teeth, but I felt like it was there. And I was in the huddle, and Jake said, "You okay?" I said, "No."
I sure am not. Yeah, as a matter of fact.
He didn't know what to say. Jake goes, "Oh." He says, "I wasn't expecting that." I said, "Well, I can't lie."
He's like, "You want timeout? Do we call timeout?"
Yeah, he goes, so I'll replay. He goes, "Steve, you okay?" I said, "No." And he looked at me like, "Oh, okay." Like, hey, awkward.
Yeah. All right.
Super awkward. You know? Oh, man. That's like some of the stuff that happens in the huddle is like so natural response. You all right? No, I'm not. Absolutely, I'm not. No, that was another time. Jordan Gross broke his leg, right, in the game, and I so lied to him, like bold-faced lie. So he broke his ankle, and he's like, "Oh, it's hurt." I looked at him and said, "It's not that bad." They rolled him over. Man, they rolled him over. That thing was like this. Look, let's see right here. Right here. They rolled him over. His ankle was like this. And so a couple of days later, like a week later, or like after surgery, something happened. And he goes, Khalil was there, Jordan, we were in the locker room. He says, "I said, is it broken? And you said it doesn't look that bad." He says, "Why do you lie to me?" I said, "Man, you're already emotional. I couldn't stomach telling you the truth."
I'm not a doctor. This isn't my place. How do I know?
No, I knew it was bad. I looked at the thing, I said, he says, "How is it?" "It's not that bad. It looked like a turned ankle." Man.
Definitely turned. Yeah, it's for sure turned.
Yeah.
What?
Ended up getting a rod in his leg, so, but it happens.
What was an injury you heard, not saw? Is there one that sticks out?
Yes. Gary Barnidge broke his leg, and I heard it snap in practice.
Oh.
And he broke it. We were going north. He broke it, and we had to flip sides to go south. And it was so interesting because it was like my man had a broken ankle. You heard it snap in practice right there. And we had to keep practicing. It was very disturbing. I was kind of like, and I wasn't the only one. There were several guys like, we really just go keep practicing? And that was very shocking. I get it, but I didn't get it.
Right.
I got, okay. But I was kind of like, man, this is so insensitive.
It's also like
it kind of screwed me up a little bit. I was kind of like,
I'm sure it's very inhumane, first of all.
Yes,
but it's also like the coach doesn't want us to take like a second to make sure our heads are on straight before.
Yeah, we can't hit a quick prayer. Like we can't have a moment of silence. He was like, Riverside. What do you mean Riverside? We just heard this man leg break. Hey, play four. Play floor. Like that was tough.
Yeah.
That was really tough.
If a coach
Barnidge goes on to play in Cleveland, had a pretty decent career, but it was really tough to watch that. I was like, ugh.
If there were a coach at the NFL level, because I'm sure at college, different colleges, there are some who display some more humanity. If a coach came into the NFL and did take, like, would that do more for the team in terms of buying into him?
I don't know. I just know at that moment it was really kind of wonky, like, ugh. It just kind of was like, ugh. So just didn't feel right.
I've got
just didn't feel right.
I've got some questions I wrote down throughout the weekend.
Okay, you got some questions. All right.
The first one that came to mind instantaneously. As a receiver, like you were.
Was I a receiver?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wide receiver one. As a wide receiver, when you're in the huddle, we were just talking about huddles, when you're in the huddle and you get the play call and you hear the play call is a designed pass to your right tackle, what's your first emotion?
I mean, most of the time, that stuff you know it's coming. You actually are excited for that.
Okay.
For that guy.
Okay.
You have to be because we've practiced. We first of all we implemented the play and everybody's like, oh, okay, right? There's some excitement in the room when that install is in, and that install for that tackle. Let me tell you something. Way down the line. I'm talking about months, weeks, training camp, all season, the underwear Olympics. We have implemented this play, and they've auditioned to see which tackle will catch it too, right? Because not all tackles are born the same. Like some are really good at blocking and horrible at catching. So you don't get offended.
Okay.
You are super excited for that guy because it's his time to shine. Now, what you do, though, in practice is you tell him, hey, don't screw this up. Don't drop that pass. Right? But in the game, it's super quiet. Don't say anything to throw him off. Keep it copacetic, player. Keep it copacetic. Let's act like we've been here before. I'm super excited. I'm ready. Like you want to be the guy to run off so you could clear it out for him so you can see all that wiggle. You can see all of that jelly rolling.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. I wasn't sure if it was like, we're wasting a play here. Like, give it to me. Give me the ball. Okay,
no. You want to see a guy go.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Because Penei Sewell, I mean, he iced the game for the Lions with that. That was beautiful.
Hey, I saw Penei Sewell. I was in Oregon. I was playing in the Joey Harrington golf tournament. And I'm in the airport and I see him and the face is familiar. And he looks at me, he's like, hey, Steve. And I'm like, yeah. And he says, Penei Sewell. I said, hey, what's up? But I was kind of a little bit standoffish because at the time he beat my Utah Utes. So I was a little bit bitter. Mm-hmm. But great player, great dude. Man, he's bigger in person, too.
I can only imagine. He's a house.
Like, he makes you look like my size. That dude is. Like, and he's not, like, massively, like, muscular. He's just a mammoth of a man.
Yeah. He's kind of Aaron Donald, but offensive version.
No, Aaron Donald's real put together. Aaron works out. No, this dude just.
I'm not saying either of these guys don't work out.
No, but Penei Sewell's a big poly.
Okay.
Like, he's just a big Polynesian. Like, you just look at him and you go, dang.
Born to move people.
Yes. Yes. That's a great,
Something I heard last night as a player, because I feel like there's probably how many plays in a given game do you think are challengeable on average? Like 3, 4?
It depends on the receiver. If the ball is thrown to me and they question it, you got to challenge it. I caught that. I caught it. Man, you could be dead out of bounds. I caught that.
They said Kliff Kingsbury threw his first challenge flag of the year last night. His first. We're less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. He threw his first challenge flag of the season. Does that speak to? Would you?
I don't know. I listen.
That's tough.
Here's the thing, though. That is such a abstract piece of information. Where's this team at? This team is not playing up to the standard we thought they would play at. So now we're just nitpicking.
Well, I think it does speak to, is this guy truly, does he have his head in the game? If I'm a fan of the Cardinals, right, and it's like we haven't challenged, there hasn't been one call, one iffy catch, one interception, one turnover, where you thought, because the play he threw the challenge flag on seemed like a play that someone who was constantly throwing the flag, it was just a 10-yard reception by Devontae Parker. That was it. That was a very regular, boring play. So to throw it there when you never throw them felt insane to me.
Yes. Hold on. I got to add more parking so I don't get a ticket.
I believe 3 of Derrick Henry's last 4 fumbles have been.
Oh, my gosh. Hey! The boys hit Derrick Henry in the mouth.
Well, you have to.
MOUF. Mouth.
You have to. He's
my mouth. Mouth.
But I believe 3 of the last 4.
I ain't seen Derrick Henry get hit like that. I seen him hit a whole bunch of folks, but get hit like that. Woo! I was watching that game like, these boys ain't playing. They said, Jacksonville, we are not going to allow this. In the first half, Derrick Henry was hitting them with that big boy, King Henry.
They allowed it.
Boom, 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 boom. The boys came out. Hey, the boys came out in the halftime. They took some Spark, some pre-workout. I don't know what they took, but the boys out there murking. The boys out on the hunt.
But my dumb question is 3 of his last 4 fumbles have come on receptions. And the other fumble was Tannehill just didn't hand him the ball properly. But is there a difference, especially for a running back, in terms of receiving the ball and tucking it versus catching it and tucking it?
It is. Have you not noticed Derrick Henry he's not stiff, but he's not as agile. So catching the ball, turning, it's just a different. It's not the hips.
Yeah.
Right. Derrick Henry is a
north-south,
straight ahead, north-south. His east or west, it takes a little bit.
But it's not even like as he's catching it, tucking it, getting hit. He's like 40 yards down the field and fumbling. So that's why I was like, is it just a mental thing?
Sometimes it can be, but sometimes it could just be you just got hit.
Yeah.
Man. Sometimes you just get hit. Or a guy pokes it out hits it at the right spot.
Yeah.
So it happens. Who was your bronze?
Was that the throw? Was that the throw Patrick Mahomes told you about? Was that the next new throw he was going to debut?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, that wasn't.
I didn't think so, but it was still a highlight reel throw. He had a couple of that game.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
So just Patrick Mahomes alone gets Chiefs. And the Broncos scored more than 17 points. Still lost, but they scored more than 17 points. So I got Chiefs-Broncos as my bronze.
My bronze, Detroit, Minnesota.
This is my gold.
Really?
Yeah. Justin Jefferson put up, 220? What was the final total?
Yeah.
I know it was a franchise.
223.
Yeah, it was
223.
franchise record with a franchise that has plenty of Hall of Fame receivers to it. So to break a record for that franchise means something.
It's ridiculous.
Huh?
Yeah.
So
it's ridiculous what Justin Jefferson is doing. Wowzers.
And the Lions.
He runs every route. Yeah.
The
Lions are not a cakewalk anymore.
No.
Right? I talked to so it's funny. I talked to a Lions fan who was born in Detroit that lives in Charlotte, and I talked to a Minnesota guy born in Minnesota who used to live in Charlotte, moved back to Minnesota. Talked to both of them this week. Both of them have said, I believe in the Lions. I believe that we're on the right track. In years past, he's like, I'm waiting for the collapse. Then I talk to the Minnesota guy. He says, man, I'm just waiting for this. It's fool's gold. I'm not sure. I just think we're going to be let down. I'm waiting for the letdown. And here's my problem. I think the letdown isn't the offense. It's the defense.
Yeah.
This defense is struggling. They're playing zone coverage. They can't play man. They can't keep their eyes on the luggage, the assignments. It's just a struggle. Right? This team is struggling. And here's one of the things that I walked away from. That was this little small stat. The final 2 minutes of the half, the Vikings defense are allowing second most points. Would you like to know how many points? Take a guess.
Just total on the season up to now?
Total. So before you answer, the Lions are scoring 41 points, second most in the NFL in the final 2 minutes of the half.
Okay.
So the Lions are not a joke anymore. They are playing good football.
Yeah.
So what do you think the Vikings are giving up? As if the Lions are fifth most, what do you think the Vikings are giving up as second most in the final 2 minutes of the half?
My original guess was going to be 47, but I think it's going to be much more than that.
50.
Okay. Not much more, but more.
50 points. That is not championship football.
No. And this is like the third week in a row the Vikings have tried to give a game away. On Thanksgiving, they tried to give it away to the Patriots. Mac Jones balled out. Last week against the Jets, they got off to a big lead early. They needed the last play of the game to seal the deal. And then this week, the Lions just were ready from the jump. They jumped all over them.
Yeah.
And now
defense is playing well.
Now, yeah, they are. But now with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown healthy, DJ Chark healthy.
Yep.
And
Jameson Williams coming back.
Like
he looked like that. He looked like that kid from Alabama. Man, they could be scary.
I was going to say that receiving core went from it's okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like an emerging star, but it's okay. Now with those three deep, and Josh
dangerous.
Josh Reynolds is no slouch.
Hey, Josh
either.
Reynolds, no, he's not. Nope. All right. So who was your Browns?
My silver.
Yeah. No, you said that was your gold.
Yeah, my bronze was Chiefs Broncos, just because Patrick Mahomes is that big of a star that I like watching him that much.
All right. So who's your silver?
My silver, the Texas Showdown, Texans Cowboys. I wanted to ask you about this specifically. If you're a Cowboys fan, do you go out of that game saying, "Man, we are not that great," or do you go, it's really hard to win in the NFL? And I believe the Texans have the number one rated pass defense in the NFL. So how do you actually feel coming out of that?
Looking at it, you got to go in there and give credit to the Texans. The Texans are going to continue to lose games because they lack so many areas, offensively and defensively. Right? They got one good corner, and they're still trying to figure out their other corner. But the Texans are not going to win games. But you see they're playing well. The Eagles played them on Thursday night. I knew the Eagles are going to win, but the Texans aren't going to make it easy for you. Cleveland, the same thing. They won, but the Texans are not going to make it easy for you. They are not going to lay down and play dead for anybody. They're going to play football. That's coaching, that's character, that's players, that's everything. So answering the question, there's both. I think there's both issues, meaning you need to be concerned from the Cowboys if this trend continues and if the Eagles can take some of what the Texans did and implement it in their final game. But then also, it's the NFL. It's not easy. You can't play hang-around football game. And I mean hang-around is, hey, like the Bills play hang-around football. Yeah. Hey, we'll let you hang around in this game because we have tendencies to be too cute sometimes. Like the Minnesota Vikings trying to do a running back pass. Like sometimes you get too cute. That's sometimes when you got so much time on your hands and so much pen and paper, you start going, you know what? I got an idea, right? Let's throw it to a tackle. They'll never see that coming, which is true. But when it goes bad, it could cost you. So that's what I think. That's what I think the Cowboys are at right now.
The Texans aren't good by design, but they have also signed a lot of veterans. I don't want to call them fringe NFL players as an insult, but
they signed some veteran players because they also know they need some veteran players for some young players.
Sure.
To help develop as well.
But is it
right? You can't allow the blind to lead the blind. You gotta have some leadership in there that can help, and you don't want to almost overcoach, right? Where the coach is constantly coaching, and then you start to tune them out.
Right.
You know, the players start to tune out the coaches. So you have to have a mixture of both. Because it is important, because Lovie Smith's defense is extremely complicated. They play a lot of variations of coverages. And you got to have someone in a room that can say, hey, he's saying you're not playing the technique right, and let me show you what he means. Because sometimes you can just tell a player, that's not the right technique. And a player sometimes every player learns differently. Some players learn by watching. Some players learn by doing.
Is it dangerous for a team like the Cowboys going up against a team of veterans on one-year deals trying to stay in the league, making that last push before another free agency? Like, is that a thing that's going through players' minds at this time of year? If you know a contract's coming up and you know you've got 1 foot already out the league.
Well, no, you're always cognizant of your contracts, and you're always cognizant of, any time could be your last season. So veteran players are looking at things. Not all are created equally. Some players are looking at, I'm auditioning for another team because I may not want to be here for various reasons. I may not like the city. I may not like the conference. I may not like the coach. I may not like the direction that the team is going. I may be put in a position where I'm a slot, but they got me playing outside. It's what you're doing is you always are on alert and looking out for putting myself in the best position today to make sure that I could play tomorrow. So that's
so the Texans aren't.
But that's
unique.
The business.
Yeah. So the Texans aren't unique.
No, the Texans aren't unique. Somebody's gonna get fired or somebody's gonna be let go because of contracts. You remember Anquan Boldin was traded to the San Francisco 49ers like 2 years or year and a half after they won the Super Bowl because of the contract of Joe Flacco and they were kind of strapped. The Baltimore Ravens were strapped on cash.
Oh, yeah.
It just happens.
I feel like that's happened to Calais Campbell like 3 times in his career. Like they just looked at his contract and moved him, and then he's been really good. I mean, Amari Cooper this year. The Cowboys moved him because of his number, and I'm sure they wish they hadn't.
Yeah. So talking about Amari Cooper, that actually is, I want to talk about that. My silver, Carolina Panthers win over the Seattle Seahawks. But I want to talk about this, the Cleveland-Cincinnati game. Did you watch that game?
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie to you. I did not.
I like that. I like it. Here's what I noticed in that game. I went back and said, I don't believe that this offense is going to just all of a sudden when Deshaun Watson gets back, they're going to just be firing on all cylinders. You remember?
Yes.
Are they firing on all cylinders?
No.
Okay, you didn't watch the game, but you know they're
No, because I see the numbers, and I believe it was 18 straight possessions without an offensive touchdown before he finally threw one.
The rust is there. The offense, they've taken a step backwards temporarily, right? Deshaun Watson hasn't played football in 2 years, and you can see it. He has a little bit of rust. However, they also played a really good football team, Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are playing really good football. Amari Cooper struggled this past week. Bro, struggled. Cincinnati's defense is playing really, really well. Wasn't a lot of separation. Ball wasn't getting out on time. A lot of pressure. Russ was a factor. There'll be less and less Russ on Deshaun Watson, but it's there, bro.
Is there enough season left where Russ won't be an issue going into next year?
Absolutely not. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I'm not sure. It depends on how he finishes.
Sure.
But I can tell you what, this defense isn't helping him out now. This defense is struggling. Here's the interesting part, though. I don't think that things would be any different if Jacoby Brissett was playing quarterback. Because back in week 8, Jacoby Brissett was quarterback. Here's the difference, though. Nick Chubb had 101 yards, 23 carries, 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper had 5 catches, 131 yards, and 1 touchdown. Okay? Difference, T. Higgins. Jamar Chase wasn't playing. T. Higgins had 3 receptions, 49 yards, and 1 touchdown. Week 14, Brissett was 17 for 22, and Deshaun Watson was 26 of 42 for just 2 yards less than what Brissett had. 276, 1 touchdown. But here's the difference. Chubb, 14 carries only for 34 yards. So when Nick Chubb, just like the Minnesota Vikings with Cook, if he doesn't have that patented long run, those chunk run plays, they're a different football team. The play action isn't as effective. The wide receivers don't get open as much. Peoples-Jones, I think, had 11 receptions, I think 100 and something yards. But here's the difference in week 14 versus week 18. Jamar Chase. T. Higgins didn't play this week. He's out. Jamar Chase had 10 catches, 10 receptions, 119 yards, and 1 touchdown. But what was interesting, though, is anytime Joe Burrow need a big play for a first down, he was throwing a dime over, under, through, either through 2 defenders, over a corner, past the hands of Myles Garrett. Just the Cleveland Browns defense has really been difficult to peg which team is going to show up. And it's putting a lot of stress on the offense.
Is there, because the Bengals have kind of a team they've
hit their stride, bro.
Well, they hit their
stride.
They've become, at least these last 2 years, they've become a second half of the season team.
Yes. Like not even a maybe second half of the team.
Right. But this game, I believe they had this game circled because they've kind of struggled against the Browns, regardless of who's quarterback. We saw it on Halloween. We saw it last year. I believe it's like 3 or 4 years in a row now. They just have not been able to beat the Browns on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So is this a game where, like, I'm not saying the Browns defense has looked great recently by any stretch, but did this game mean more to the Bengals?
It does, because it puts them it puts them with, especially with Lamar Jackson being injured. Anthony Brown played a little bit. Tyler Huntley's hurt. That offense didn't look great anyway. So they're struggling. This puts Cincinnati in a driver's seat. That gives them an opportunity. The window is open. And with Lamar Jackson being hurt right now, they're hitting all strides. And I'm not sure that if Lamar Jackson isn't back, that the Baltimore Ravens, they can win the division. And could potentially slide out of the playoff picture altogether.
Yeah, it's very crowded right now at that. There's 2 teams are going to be decent teams that end up missing the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I tell you, and so another game I want to talk about is Miami Dolphins at Chargers. Later in the season now, they're not running the ball. I think the scouting report is out on Tua, not in regards that he can't play. He could play. In regards of, if you make him you have to make Tua think. And if you make him think, he generally sometimes makes some bonehead plays, right? He does some things that you go, where? That's not the Tua we've seen this year. But also go back. If you watch Tua in college, he doesn't run a smooth 2-minute. He doesn't make, when he has to think beyond the first or second progression, it's usually never good. Or I'm sorry, rarely good.
Yeah.
And when they don't have that running game going, which their running game is pretty stout, when when Raheem Mostert, it's really takes pressure off of him. The Los Angeles Chargers, you talking about an up and down team. I did not expect them to come out and play dynamic. I mean, the first couple of possessions, you're like, wow. And the Dolphins even seemed as shocked like me watching, and they were playing. They were going like, are we playing the Chargers? So 2 weeks in a row now, the Sunshine State goes to the City of Angels, or the state, the California, and they get beat. I'm not gonna say they get ran out of the stadium, but they get beat.
Was this because there's been a specific talking head, but some people have been poking at Justin Herbert this year more than years past. Some people felt he was anointed a little early.
Justin Herbert can play. I'm not sold on the decision making of the head coach.
Agreed. Yeah, no, Staley makes some very questionable decisions. But
questionable.
Do you think Herbert, because these guys were drafted.
I think Herbert can play.
Well, I agree. But do you think he had a little bit more? Because he's a pretty quiet, reserved kid. But that doesn't mean
he's laid back.
That doesn't mean he doesn't hear stuff. That doesn't mean he doesn't remember who the Dolphins picked over him. Like, do you think he came into this with a little bit more?
But see, I see in this scenario, I don't think Herbert wanted to go to the Dolphins. He wanted to stay home.
I could see that.
He wanted to stay close. So I don't believe. I could be wrong, but from all indication, what I heard, I do not believe that he felt any type of way about the Dolphins picking him because he preferred to go where he is right now.
Even if he preferred to stay, there's got to be some sort of pride being like, well, you still pick this guy over
But
me.
if you prefer to stay somewhere, why would you be upset that a team you didn't want to go to didn't pick you?
He was still the third quarterback picked. So
what? He didn't want to be there.
Sure. If he was the
I don't
first,
think so. I don't.
If he was picked first overall, do you think he'd be upset about it?
I think he would because he didn't want to go to Miami.
Well, no, that would have been Cincinnati. Even worse.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he don't. So no, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, he's fine.
So I mean, there's every year we get a guy who's like, I remember the 14. I'm on Ross St. Brown. I remember the 13 receivers picked in front of me.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, but not in this case.
Okay.
I don't believe in this case.
Okay.
Right. I do not believe in this case.
Okay.
Right. There's no Josh Rosen in this right now. You picked 3 other mistakes prior to me. Where's Josh Rosen right now? Anyway. Oh, cool.
He's on the Browns.
Here's what I did. Yeah. Here's what I think. I really loved watching the Chargers. I love the way they moved the pocket. He was constantly on the move. They blocked up front really well. Just dropping dimes. Did you see that catch by Mike Williams over Xavier Howard on the sideline? Oh, wait. Xavier Howard had blanketed perfect coverage until Mike Williams said, give me that ball, boy. It was a really good catch. Kept his feet in.
Mike Williams is a monster.
He has some great monster.
He's about roughly the same size as Swole Bones, but moves completely differently. And I'm not saying this is a knock on one person or the other. It's just for me as a fan,
they're just
very interesting to watch because I like to go to basketball. Kevin Durant's the size of most centers historically, but he moves like a guard. So it's always interesting.
Well, because he's thick. Yeah, he's super thin, but yeah, he moves. He moves excellent.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's just watching different body types and how the different athleticism comes out. So watching a Mike Williams, especially the injuries he's dealt with, even going back to Clemson with the neck injury, to come back from all that and still be this dominant is I hate when people, especially because he was 7th overall in that draft, 8th, 7th, or 8th, to live up to those expectations, even with the question marks. For me, that's something I love.
Yeah, he was dynamic, and he's getting better. Josh Palmer's doing really well. That's the thing with the Chargers. I think that's why Staley is gonna he's gonna be under watch because you have so many great pieces, and you're playing average football. Yeah. You're not a mediocre team. Like the way you came out against the Miami Dolphins, who's a very physical team. Miami Dolphins are not a cakewalk.
No.
And you had them out there like you could see they were confused. They were trying to they were bringing a house and they were moving a pocket. It was outstanding. Something is off with the Dolphins, and I'm not sure why. And they only ran the ball 8 times against the 49ers. They weren't running the ball extremely great or with consistency against the Chargers. It wasn't like Nick Bosa was out there or Joey Bosa, whatever Bosa was out there, he wasn't there, right? Just, but I tell you what, the Rams are missing Sebastian Joseph Day. He is in that middle. He's a damn good football player.
The Rams?
When he was with the Rams first, and he's with the Chargers, and just watching him over the last couple of weeks, he's just playing like when Aaron Donald isn't there, they had the Sebastian Joseph Day, and he's not there, and Aaron Donald's hurt right now. As you could just see some of these little small guys that aren't big names, what they bring to the table. He has been a breath of fresh air for them, and he's playing well.
Those players are extremely important. The first half last night against the Cardinals, a player I was missing tremendously and have been missing since he got hurt is Christian Barmore, a second-year player out of Alabama. Yeah. He's been a monster for us in the middle, and with the defense was able to turn it on, and Josh Uche's emergence as a pass rusher has been a big part of that.
Did you hear what Matt Judon said about him?
He's the best pass rusher on the team.
Yeah.
Which I love that. I don't believe him, but I love that. As the veteran talking about his younger player, I love that.
Yeah.
But I don't believe him.
All right. Do we have any fantasy versus reality?
Of course. Let's start.
Josh Jacobs. That ain't his fault. That's all I got to say.
Well, even Michael
That
Gallup,
ain't his
this is the pain you start to see getting into this world. 0.5 yards. That could be a bad spot. That could be a lot of things.
That's that quarters coverage. Quarters coverage. They were not prepared for it.
But Christian McCaffrey this week, 76.5 rushing yards at the Seahawks, who we just talked about their defense. He's coming off 119 last week.
Their defense is struggling. So, yes, their defense has been giving up a lot of rushing yards. So, yes. What did he say, 90?
76.5.
76 and a half? Yeah, he'll get that. Yep.
They're
going to run the ball.
Is that the Thursday game?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Matt Ryan, coming off the bye, which I imagine he desperately needed.
They're playing Minnesota. Mm-hmm. How many yards?
238.5.
Yeah, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So.
All right, well, same.
Everybody's talking about Jeff Saturday was in the mentions talking about Steve. Relationships are, business is built on relationships. I understand business is built on relationships. I'm not idiotic to not believe that. What I'm amused at is he beat the Las Vegas Raiders, and everybody's like, "Oh, how do you feel?" Let me ask you, how do you feel about Jeff Saturday and the Colts right now? He mismanaged. He did some things that his lack of experience is starting to reek out of his pores that he lacks experience beyond high school. But, hey, you guys will be okay. That's your quarterback. That is your quarterback and your head coach of the future. So have at it. I love Jeff Saturday. Great dude. I don't see him as a potentially unbelievable head football coach.
When you hear a guy say it's not his job to ask players about injuries, and he's the coach.
That's what he said? Yeah. Lack of experience. It is his job, stupid. You're supposed to know because you're supposed to do the press conference and give an update on the injuries. So, yes, it is. But see, as a player, that's that player mind. Hey, you don't.
Well, I was also curious, too, because outside of the quarterback, how many players on the field are authorized to call timeout?
Anybody can call
timeout. Sure, anyone can. How many players outside of quarterback?
Veterans.
Okay.
Yeah. I've called a timeout before. I've called a timeout. It's like, that ain't the right play. Timeout. Or I've called the timeout. Actually, my ring finger. What was it? One of these. I had busted my hand in the middle of the game. Busted my hand. I'm sitting there and I'm like, why is blood dripping? And my glove is just full of my knuckle right here. Got hit and it busted open and it was just bleeding. And I'm like. I called timeout. I was like, yeah, timeout. This ain't right. And my glove was full of blood. And it was so much, it was dripping out. It was like drip, drip coming out. And so I called timeout because I wasn't sure. No, this ain't. It ain't supposed to be feeling like this. But veterans.
Well, even veterans, I can't remember many offensive linemen in my years of watching football doing this. Many, if any. And so
who called the timeout?
Well, he after the last game, which was 2 weeks ago now, was like, I didn't think we needed to call timeouts during this 2-minute drill. They had all three. I didn't feel the need to call any timeouts.
Oh, he was saving them. He was saving them for the next
rolling
game.
them over, like
he's rolling
wireless minutes. Yeah. So that's again where I think the lack of. Especially when you play with Peyton Manning like exclusively, I'm sure he was the only person calling timeout.
Listen, I'm jealous because I've never can be a head coach, even though I've never wanted to coach.
Kirk Cousins in that same game, 258.5 passing yards at home against the Colts.
Yeah, I'll give it to him because Justin Jefferson.
You might get it to him by himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, Justin Jefferson. I'm taking
I imagine it'll be Justin Jefferson versus Stephon Gilmore.
Yes.
Is Gilmore still elite?
He could. Yeah, he's still
Okay,
elite.
I'm making sure.
He's just not on the elite defense.
Just making sure. I'm excited to watch that.
Yep.
Uh,
I'm excited too to see Kenny Moore go up against Thielen.
okay.
Hey, there's a kid that he's on a practice squad. He should be being moved up. Blake Pro, Ricky Pro's son. Man, he tore his knee though, but he could play.
Okay.
I'm telling you, watch out for him. He could play.
You go to Coastal?
He with the Elon.
Oh, okay.
No, ECU. He went to ECU.
Yeah, that's right. I knew it was one of them.
Oh, he could play. He could run. He's the most athletic one in the family. He could run. Austin's all right. But Blake, I call him Christian because that's his birth name. Christian Blake Pro. Watch out for him. He can play. And he can sing, too.
Okay.
That dude can sing. Yeah.
Too much talent for one family.
Fun fact.
Far too much talent for one family. Tua.
They get it from Kelly.
Yeah.
They're Kelly Pro. Shout out to Kelly Pro. Rick, you didn't do nothing.
Ricky caught
Slick Rick, what they call him.
2 go-ahead touchdowns against the Patriots in 2 different Super Bowls.
Yes. I can tell you want to know why?
Why?
He told me this when he first got to Carolina. He said, listen, the first play, your first route is data, it's information. The first play sets up the last play. That's what he told me. He said, your first play sets up the last play. So that first play gives you all the data you need, and every play after that is just updating. And then when you need that big play, you put in that computer and you say, bing, boop. Best information he ever gave me.
Hey, I'm glad he's not on the field against the Patriots anymore. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
A big thorn in the side. Tua at Buffalo.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yes, I'm working that game. It's going to be snowing. They're talking about snowing. I actually cannot work the Thursday night because I have to fly directly to Buffalo because they're worried about I'll be stuck.
They're talking about moving into Detroit again, which I think would.
What?
They did it, what was it, 2 weeks ago? They played.
No, I got a flight to Buffalo.
Listen.
Pretty soon, so
keep your ear to the streets, because
you heard me? I'm like, what?
Get a refundable ticket.
Hey, they insured, buddy. They insured. All right,
but if they do move it, which I don't think it's.
Well, how much is to? If they move that game, I'm mad.
I'm mad too because I need the Bills to win this game. For the Patriots, the Dolphins would greatly benefit from this game moving indoors, I would argue.
Yeah, they ain't moving. I guess Buffalo's not moving.
Dolphins are begging to move that game.
Yes, they're begging.
261 and a half passing yards for Tua.
No.
Okay, we're going lower.
No.
Jaylen Waddle, 63 and a half receiving yards. Coming off 31 against the Chargers.
See, it's tough because Tua was off. So it wasn't necessarily like Waddle was off.
Right.
With Tre'Davious White coming back too, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm staying away from that. I can't say. I don't know. I'm looking at this game. It's just going to be fantastic to watch him play.
Travis Kelce, 75 and a half receiving yards at Houston. Only had 71 against the Broncos.
Yeah, their quarters. I can see him doing that. I can see them dialing up and him sitting in zone coverage. So yes.
Okay. And then Sam Darnold. 174 and a half passing yards against the Steelers.
Man, the Steelers, I want to say yes, but that dang TJ Watt, he just impacts the game in a way that I just don't figure it out. So I'm not, no. I don't know.
I don't know that there's a player, even Aaron Donald, I don't know if there's a player who makes as much of a difference for their team as TJ Watt.
It's crazy.
It is. It's genuinely absurd how night and day they are versus when he plays versus when he doesn't play.
Oh, man. It's ridiculous. All right, so week 15. Mm-hmm. Who you got? Bronze.
I'm going to stick right there with Miami Buffalo. I don't know what to expect really from either of these teams. Miami pulled out the win last second win. Bills had the ball with a chance to win. They did not. Buffalo looks like they're rolling again. They look extremely confident. They look very comfortable in what they're doing. And I need the Bills to win, much like I needed them to win last week to beat the Jets. So I'm in on that game as my bronze.
That's my gold. I want to see, does Rousseau impact the game the way he was doing? Mike White didn't have a chance. Joe Flacco didn't have a chance. It's ridiculous the way they're getting pressure. I'm still just concerned about the lack of running game. It was raining. Yeah. That game was raining against the Jets, and they were throwing the ball like it wasn't. Just a lot of punts, just a lot of just bad throws. But Mike White, goodness gracious, he was getting his face pounded in.
He was taking –
that boy's getting tagged. He was getting tagged.
Like, part of the marvel of watching the NFL is seeing guys.
That wasn't a marvel. Well, no, that hurt.
That's what I'm getting to. Part of the marvel for me, like you're talking about taking all these huge hits and getting up. Watching that on a weekly, Mike White was taking hits how I imagine and like reacting to them how I would react if I was getting like he looked like they just picked someone out of the stands, said it's your turn, and then they took that hit and they're like, no mas, no mas.
Hey, he got up one time and said, I looked at him, I said, damn. Yeah. That's one of those where the tackle may say, hey, my bad. He just like, man, just shut up. just keep going.
Please leave me alone. Yeah.
Yes. So that's my goal. I'm interested to watch that game. My bronze is does Jordan Love play Green Bay and the Rams? That's all I'm gonna say. I just want to see. That's it. If Green Bay wins, great. If the Rams win, great. Doesn't matter. That's my bronze. Who's your silver?
My silver. I don't think I've put this team on any of these in a while. Patriots, Raiders.
That's my silver too.
The Patriots cannot, I repeat, cannot lose to Josh McDaniels after all I've been talking.
Especially after what I just saw Thursday night.
Josh McDaniels lost to Jeff Saturday, won 3 games in a row, and then lost to Baker Mayfield in his first game after basically landing in LA and then hopping on the playing field. This is a coach I cannot figure out. This is a team I cannot figure out. They've got all the talent in the world. The Patriots need to win this game, both for playoffs positioning and my sanity. They need to win this game.
So is it fair to say, does Josh McDaniels actually know the offense that they're running?
I don't know if anyone knows the offense the Patriots are running. Patricia doesn't know it. Joe Judge doesn't know it. Mac Jones doesn't know it. No one knows it.
So the element of surprise is there.
Yeah, anything could happen in a given play.
All right, I'll take that.
I'm worried if Ramondre's playing.
There's so many factors in this, but one of the things that I thought about is when I was watching a game with Devontae Adams, how well he's playing. I'm actually glad that Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow aren't playing because that allows them to work out all the kinks. The Las Vegas Raiders offense has more kinks than a 100-year-old man with a walker. Like just getting up is an accomplishment. And the Las Vegas Raiders are that, right? Here's the Las Vegas Raiders in a summary of what they are. I was in church this weekend. Yes, I go to church. And the Pastor Livingston said something that was really profound. He said, there's a difference between living and lively. And he gave this great analogy, and I'll put it to the Las Vegas Raiders. Living and lively. You can live in a nursing home. You could just be living. People in a nursing home are living. And then you go to the preschool, and the kids are lively. But they're technically the same thing. In a nursing home, they just get up, right? Like the Las Vegas Raiders, they just get up. They're,
They
eat
they
slow.
exist.
They exist. But then in like preschool, they get up and they're running. But they eat slow too, depending on what you give them. But how they digest it is so different. And the Las Vegas Raiders at times are just living. And then there's times they're extremely lively. I just want to know which team is going to show up. Is it the living or lively Las Vegas Raiders? Because just tell me which one you want to be. Because this roller coaster is up and down. I can't stand it. And I'm glad my boy Waller's not out there, because when he was, you wouldn't use him. You're not going to target him. You're trying to figure out way too much at the expense of other people's statistics. And if I'm Josh Jacobs, I am not re-signing with this team. I found it interesting. He's done nothing but prove that he could play in this league, and yet they get there and they say, nope, you got to prove to us you can play. Now he's proved that he can play. I think you need to prove me you can coach consistently. The only thing we know from the Las Vegas Raiders is two things. David Carr is going to throw the football, and he's going to throw it to Devontae Adams. Other than that, everything else is a shot in the dark. Is that not fair?
It's more fair than I am to the Raiders.
Hold on. Another thing. Mad Max, Crosby, and Chandler Jones will go play some darn good football.
It's a concern because our offensive line has been patchwork at best this season.
Man. Trent Brown?
I don't know why we moved him to the left.
300.
I don't know why we moved him to the left.
You better move him somewhere else because he's struggling.
He's been a tremendous right tackle for us in both trips to New England. And
I got a great idea. He played right. Let's put him on the left side.
I honestly think part of it was to try and suppress the value of Isaiah Wynn's next contract. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, well, they've accomplished that.
For sure. I don't know what kind of contract he's going to get now, especially since he hasn't been great on the right side.
They say Wynn is kind of he's up and down.
I mean, when he was at Georgia, he was playing guard. The Patriots announced him intentionally when they drafted him as a tackle. He's been okay as a tackle.
He's a guard.
I don't disagree. I think if we moved him to right guard, kicked Owenu out to right tackle, I think this team's better. Like, I think the entire team's better.
Well, they don't listen to us. So
no, the Patriots.
Well, technically, they only listen to us when we complain.
For this question, I've seen the Patriots do this a lot. I don't know if they're currently doing this, but there have been times we've had consecutive West Coast games like we do now, Arizona and Vegas. And they've stayed it for 2 weeks out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I've done that. As a player, did you feel that truly benefited you, or did it not really matter?
No, it did. It did benefit because going back and forth takes a toll on you, especially when you're physically doing something. Right? Last week I was in LA. I'm going back to LA again. It does something to you. There's adjustments. Like there's always like a day and a half where I'm just I'm dragging. I sleep a little bit longer than usual. So
yeah, and the Raiders played Thursday last week, so they got a little bit of a mini bye. Patriots played Monday, so I would hope they stayed out there. I don't know for a fact if they did or not.
Oh well.
And my gold.
Who's your gold?
I can't get enough of the Lions. Give me Lions Jets as my gold. Again, both of these teams are these are free playoff games in my eyes. Both of these teams right now are scratching and clawing to make the playoffs.
Scratching and clawing.
And right now, I'm looking right now. The Lions the Lions are giving a point. The Jets are favored somehow in this game. I as someone who likes to overreact to things I just saw, I think the Lions are going to put up a ton of points, and the Jets are going to be in trouble. Now, the Jets have a really good defense. It's going outdoors.
Well, if Quentin Williams is not available, I could see things getting a little wonky, but I agree with you. I like that. You know, the game I'm watching, though, I don't rank it in gold, silver, but the game I'm watching.
49ers Seahawks?
I want to see how – no, okay. I'm not watching that. 49ers win. Ritter.
Okay.
I want to see how Ritter does against New Orleans This is a kid who I watched his pro day. Pro day wasn't extremely great. He's also a guy who he's a gunslinger. He tries to fit the ball in windows he shouldn't. Have they got him to relax a little bit and be patient? I don't know. I think when the rubber meets the road without Kyle Pitts, Drake London is still out there. He'll catch a pass or two, but he still hasn't become that dominant receiver the way his stature is. So I'm interested to see how many passes does Ritter force to London when he's not open? How many times does he get fooled in the defense? So I want to see how that works out. Because it sounds like officially that it's his job to lose.
When he got announced, my first thought was this is a tryout to be the quarterback next year, or are they going to go into this draft looking for a quarterback?
This is what I think too.
Okay.
This is what I think too. I think that too.
What does he have to? Is it winning games or is it just pure?
I believe it's his decision making. Right? He's been known and told as a very mature young man, but I also heard that his practice habits sometimes he's no risk it, no biscuit. And that isn't voting well for offensive coach by Arthur Smith, who likes to take very calculated risks, and he's just gonna take a risk. I ain't use no calculator. 2 + 2 is 5.
Just as someone who's watched the Falcons this year, could they not have used a little more risk? Maybe not dialing it all the way up, but a little more risk.
But it's just making the right read.
Sure.
He's not making a
but
right
even
read.
the
Marcus Mariota, even with the right read, Marcus Mariota is not going to throw that
sure,
ball.
yeah.
So it's not risk. It's just consistent, good decision making.
Okay.
Right? Marcus Mariota, sometimes when he hikes the ball, he's discovering where to go. I think Ritter is going to be the same way, but I think he will be able to. Arthur Smith can maybe manufacture some opportunities for him to confirm where he's going against some of the remaining teams that he has. I think it'll be interesting. If he comes out and plays well, the Carolina and Atlanta game, I think could be very – they've already played twice, so it doesn't matter. The Tampa Bay, I think it'd be very telling to see how he does.
As it stands right now, were there 4 weeks left? Yeah, 4 weeks left. 4 games left for each team.
3 or 4, yep.
Who wins the NFC South? Tampa's got a 1-game lead over the Panthers and the Falcons. I don't know how the tiebreakers shake out.
All right, hold on. So look up the Panthers. You look up the Panthers. I'll look up Tampa Bay.
Okay.
How about
the
that?
Panthers have the Steelers, the Lions,
Hold on, man.
Tampa on New Year's Day, at Tampa, and then at the Saints to finish the season. So 2 at home, 2 on the road. Not the easiest of schedules.
So Tampa plays the Bengals. Okay. I don't think they beat the Bengals. I think they could beat the Falcons now. I mean, I'm sorry, the Cardinals. So let me see. So Bucks have Bengals. They lose that one. They beat Arizona, and they beat the Falcons. So that puts them
2-2.
Without the Panthers game, that puts them at 2-1. And let's say they win the Panthers, that puts them at 2-2. Okay. Now, who's the Panthers have?
The Panthers have the Steelers, the Lions.
Okay, hold on. Steelers. Yeah. I could see them losing to the Steelers, or beating the Steelers. Right. I say they beat the Steelers. They lose to the Lions.
Okay, and then they got Tampa. And then they've got the Saints at New Orleans.
They beat the Saints. So right now that puts them at 1-2. I say they beat them. So I could possibly see them going 1-3 or 2-2. Both of them. Like I could see them winning the game they shouldn't and losing the game they should win.
And the Falcons, who have the same record as the Panthers right now.
I don't see the Falcons winning. I don't see the Falcons winning.
They might have the easiest schedule. They've got the Saints this week.
Yeah, but their quarterback play doesn't make it easy.
Sure. I don't disagree with that.
Like they're going to run the football, but they can't run the football without attempting to pass. It's not going to happen.
I was going to say, they've got Saints, Ravens, Cardinals, Bucks.
They're going to have to pass the ball against the Ravens because the Ravens going to wear them down. So that's why. So I can see the Panthers and Bucks being ending 2-2 or 1-3.
Panthers, Bucks.
I don't see them going 3-1 though. I don't see that.
Either team?
Because either team. They're playing some teams that they're playing each other, so somebody's gonna win, somebody's gonna lose. But the Panthers and the Bucks are both playing the Lions. The Panthers are the Lions and Steelers, which are not easy wins. But the Bucks are playing the Bucks are playing the only team that I can see that they really don't have a chance of the Bengals. Everybody else, because it's in the division with the Panthers and Atlanta, it could go both ways. But I think also with their defense can get after a young Ritter that can make him make mistakes.
It's a hell of a race for a team that might win that division below 500.
Yeah,
if the Bucks go 2-2, they finish 8-9 and win that division. And I'll argue that the Lions should be in ahead of them. That's what I'll do. No NFC South team this year. Just put the Lions in.
Okay. All right. Hey, great show, bro.
I think it was really good. Big fan.
Yeah. All right, folks.
Hit that like, subscribe.
Hit that subscribe. Leave a comment. Good or bad, we don't care. We just getting those algorithm numbers, baby. That's what we need. And then somebody keep count of, tell me who name I butchered. And it happens. Him too. All right. I'm Steve Smith Sr.
Nick.
This is Cut to It. See you, folks.